I'm Rod Serling. You're listening to The Zero Hour.
Suspense. I'm the Whistler.
Yours truly, Johnny Dollar.
Who is it?
The Fat Man.
Presents The Man Called X.
The Mysterious Traveler. Another journey into the realm of the strange and terrifying. I hope you will enjoy the trip, that it will thrill you a little and chill you a little. So settle back, get a good grip on your nerves. Where are we going? You'll find out when we get there.
Hello everyone, and welcome to Drama and Theater, brought to you by Duane Old Time Radio. Drama and Theater features some of the best programs from the golden age of radio, including Escape, The Fat Man, Suspense, The Whistler, Zero Hour, Yours Truly Johnny Dollar, and many, many more. Before we start today's drama, if you enjoy what I'm doing, let me ask you to subscribe to my channel. Subscribing is 100% free, and you will receive notifications on new posts. Lastly, if you have a moment, write a short 1 or 2 sentence review or give a rating on your preferred podcast service. A positive review or rating would help me out a lot. And now, on to the drama. And thank you for your support, as always. This week we continue the Zero Hour with the storyline, The Heir Hunters. This is chapters 3, 4, and 5. As I said last week, there are no firm dates for the Zero Hour, but the series aired from 1973 to 1974.
I'm Rod Serling. You're listening to The Zero Hour. Rest your eyes. Exercise your imagination. This week, Bill S. Ballinger's sound portrait of an unlikely hero. The Heir Hunters. Starring Ken Berry, Joanne Worley, and Edgar Bergen. In Elliot Lewis's production of The Zero Hour.
The Mutual Broadcasting System presents The Zero Hour. Sponsored in part by
Holiday Inns, Quaker State Motor Oil, and the Ford Motor Company. This is The Zero Hour on Mutual Radio.
Dean Quinn, young Mr. Happy-Go-Lucky, frolicking his way through life in search of the missing heir to a fortune. He enlists the financial assistance of Clarence J. Walden, a professional heir hunter, in return for his services. The search leads Dean Quinn first to Seattle and a dead end, then to Chicago to an address listed in the old newspaper clipping, to the apartment house owned by Ignaz Pasek, and face-to-face with Pasek's young granddaughter, Stella. They meet again at Dean's hotel under an odd set of circumstances. Stella wants something. Out. Bus fare to California and a place to hide overnight. Dean wants no part of it, but he does want to find the missing heir. And what he finds is that now he's looking for one last link, the end of the family line, Helen Martin. He also finds himself half drowned in a swimming pool in Palm Springs, with a dead body floating in the deep end. To put it in Dean Quinn's own words, why me? The Heir Hunters will continue after this word.
The Marine Corps Reserves are looking for a few good men to help keep the peace. looking for men who understand that nobody likes to fight, but somebody has to know how. We want men who want to see their children grow up in an age of peace. Men who will do more than wish for it. Men who will work for it. Men who don't need the draft to know there's a job to be done. Men who ask themselves what they can do for their country and do it. We're looking for a few good men to stand with the Marine Corps Reserve. No shortcuts, no compromises, no promises except one. You'll be a Marine, and you'll be ready. That's the job of a peacekeeper.
Am I drunk? I must be drunk. What happened here? Did I fall in and hit my head on the side of the pool? Or did someone, whoever killed her, did they try to frame me? Come on, Dean boy, put it together or your ticket is forever punched. Chicago. Remember Chicago? Remember Stella? Stella was in my room at the Drake Hotel in Chicago when she told me about Charlie Martin.
Charlie Martin is dead. He got killed in Korea.
What about the little girl, Helen?
I don't know what happened to her. Can I have that drink now?
Yeah, help yourself.
Who are you calling?
Don't sweat, sweets. I'm not blowing the whistle on you.
This is the voice of Clarence J. Walden, president of Clarence J. Walden and Associates Insurance Representatives, where we pride ourselves in paying our claims promptly.
Boss, wait.
Our office is closed for the day, but we'll be back tomorrow morning when the big hand is on the 12 and the little one is at the 9.
Aren't you going to talk?
Yeah, if he ever shuts up.
If your call is urgent, please leave your name and number, and one of our representatives will get back to you as soon as possible. You will have exactly 10 seconds after you hear the little beep.
Boss, this is Dean. Charles Kermit Martin was killed in Korean War, Illinois Regiment. Call VA, check where allotment was sent for his daughter, Helen Martin. Also insurance. Call me at Drake Hotel. Wire money.
Sport, you sound like a disc jockey.
Hey, what are you doing? Put your clothes back on.
I'm getting into bed. I need my beauty rest.
Well, yeah, I think I'll sack out on the couch here. Sweet dreams. I slept lousy that night. I kept waking up, hearing buzzing in my ears like I used to when pneumonia was coming on. A couple of times I thought I felt something warm cuddling up to me, but I couldn't tell for sure. It might have been just a vivid hallucination. In the morning, I had a brute of a headache. My skin was crawling, and I had a pretty good case of cottonmouth. Worst of all, I was in the bed. Stella was up and dressed. Stella, how did I get here? I mean, in the bed.
I don't know.
Did I get up and... I mean, we didn't...
You kept kicking around saying you were cold.
Well, I was. What time is it?
5 o'clock. I'm bored.
5 o'clock?
You're going to fall out of bed if you keep jumping around. Oh, some guy called while you were sleeping. I wrote it down.
Walden called?
You don't have to yell. Lay down. He said the name you wanted was Mrs. Vivian Clay, Route 1, Towan, Illinois. He also said he wasn't underwriting no playing around with girls.
Oh, I'm going back to sleep. Maybe I'll get lucky and wake up dead.
Boy, you're no fun.
But I woke up alive the next morning. I just felt dead. I rented a car, and Stella drove me to see Vivian Clay in Towan. a tiny town about 60 miles outside of Chicago.
Hey, Deanie, nice farm.
Is this the place?
Mailbox says so.
Then turn in. Vivian Clay was a gray-haired, pleasant woman with firm, regular features. She served us hot tea, which helped me listen as she explained that Helen Martin was her niece, whom she raised when her brother, Charlie Martin, died in Korea. She knew very little about Etta Rhine Martin other than that she was Helen's mother.
This here is a picture of Helen taken when she graduated high school.
Very pretty girl.
That's a pretty old picture.
Mrs. Clay, how old is Helen now?
Well, 26. Helen travels a lot. After high school, she went to Northwestern. We saved her dad's army insurance. Then she went to study art in that Paris of Rome. Later, she came back to New York and worked as one of them models.
Where is she now?
California.
Pardon? My head's a little clogged. Did you say California?
Yes, near Los Angeles.
Is there any place I can write her?
Why, yes. She has a post office box in that North Hollywood.
I don't remember leaving Vivian Clay or her farm, or driving back to Chicago or anything. I don't even know where or when I lost Stella Pasek. I was coughing and sneezing, dizzy, totally spaced out. I just wanted to get back to Beth. Somehow I did. Beth called a doctor, and he came and did his thing for 4 days. On the 5th day, my lungs breathed air again, and I sat up in Beth's king-size bed, ready for action.
How are you feeling?
Like $10,000. Girl, oh, am I glad to see you.
I'll get it. Yes?
What bungalow does Mr. Dean Quinn live in?
This one. Is he expecting you?
Oh, sort of. I'm a very good friend of his, and he asked me to visit.
Beth!
Well, why don't you come in? Any friend of Dean's is a friend of mine.
Oh, why me? Beth, this is Stella Pasek, an acquaintance. Stella, Beth Temple.
You don't look so good, Deanie.
I've been sick, and I think I'm getting a relapse.
Lucky I didn't catch your cold when you insisted I stay with you in that crummy hotel.
What crummy hotel?
Beth, please.
Do you have a place to stay, dear?
Not yet.
I have a nice little bungalow, number 9, only $80 a month. It would make it awfully convenient for Deanie. And you don't have any other friends here, and, well, we could be friends, couldn't we?
Oh, yes.
I feel sick.
Yeah, let's get you settled. Stella, is it? Together time to spend, enjoying life with food and friends. Get out and get together, where the good times all begin. Together with you, together with friends and holidays.
The next time you're dining out, get together with Holiday Inn. Good food, good friends, together.
If you drive a new car, maybe you've noticed some changes in how that new engine performs. Today's emission controls are part of the reason. They do cut down pollution, but they also cause severe engine heat that may rob your motor oil of its full power to protect your engine. Today, it's imperative to use only a premium quality oil. For your peace of mind, specify Quaker State. It's refined from 100% pure Pennsylvania-grade crude oil.
Quaker State your car to keep it running young.
I can always tell when I'm not being appreciated, so I got up and left the El Cairo. I hitched over to Universal City to see Walden and to bring him up to date. He was delighted to see me.
Look at those expenses.
Oh, it's nothing to get uptight about, Mr. Walden. We got an address for Helen Martin. Post office box, North Hollywood.
Post office won't give you her home address. They don't give out that information except to the FBI or the IRS, and you aren't either of them.
I know that. I wrote her a letter and I mailed it to the box number. I just need a little more time until she picks it up.
All right, Quinn. You better find Helen Martin soon. I'm in business to find fortunes, not spend them.
That evening when I got back to the bungalow, things had nearly returned to normal. Beth mixed up vodka martinis and brought out an old shoebox full of photographs. There were a lot of her as a small girl and some of her mother, Josie, who really was a fox, like she said. There was only one of her father, a man you couldn't pick out in a small crowd if you'd seen him 100 times. But in the hodgepodge of snapshots was a picture of Edgar Rhine. He was in a photo with 2 other men, all of them grinning like idiots into the camera. From their clothes, I guessed it was taken around 1925.
That one, with the sailor's jacket and derby.
He's Edgar Rhine?
That's him. Of course, when I saw him, he didn't look much like that.
Yeah, 50 years in between can change a man. Who are the 2 guys with him?
I don't know.
On the back, somebody wrote Ed, Hack, and Tony. Well, Ed's obviously Edgar Rhine. Have you any idea who Hack and Tony are?
Not the slightest.
Where'd the picture come from?
Dad's things. I don't know how it got there, and Dad's name wasn't Hack or Tony. It was William Temple.
Yeah. You ready for another drink?
Don't rush. We're having a guest for dinner.
Who?
Stella.
It seemed that the sweet, shy little country girl from the Mecca of the corn country had done right well for herself. Stella was now a cigarette girl at the Yodel-A-Go-Go, a rock joint on the Sunset Strip. It was enough to make a man give up smoking.
Beth, hello.
Stella, darling.
Oh, hello, Dean. You here? Beth, isn't my job simply wonderful?
Just perfect. I'll get the drink so we can toast to your success.
Well, will it make me sicky? I never had a drink till I met Dean. Hope I can hold it.
I don't believe it.
Be back in a minute.
Dean, will you come over to my place later?
What do you hear from Chicago, kid?
You'll be sorry. Where are you going?
Just to the door for some air. I could have written a letter to dear Abby that would have given her a mental block. Anyway, a few days later, a tall, slender, beautiful blonde showed up at the post office and picked up my letter. I could tell it was the one I'd sent by the red envelope. She was driving away in a silver, chrome-plated monster as I arrived to start my daily stakeout. But I got her license number, which Walden could check out through the Department of Motor Vehicles. This new development encouraged him enough to write to Cook County, Illinois, for a copy of Helen Martin's birth certificate to prove she was the legitimate heir of Edgar Rhine. I also convinced him that it was worth a gamble for me to go to San Francisco and see what the Maritime Union's main office had on Edgar Rhine. Not enough of a gamble, however, to buy me plane fare. Beth was kind enough to allow me the use of her car. Good old girl-o. At the Maritime Union, a nice old lady named Miss Morrissey told me she'd been working there ever since she got out of business college, which I figured was about the time somebody invented the typewriter. She went through a lot of dusty old cardboard files.
Aha! Here it is. Is this what you want?
Name, Edgar A. Rhine. Citizen, USA, born March 13th, 1897. Place of birth, Morro Bay, California. Married? No. I'm guessing he was divorced.
No, it would say if he was a divorced man.
Oh, there must be some mistake. I know for a fact that Edgar Rhine was a family man.
Who knows better, him or you?
To the mountains, to the sea, for transportation to exciting places. Look close. It's the solid Ford Torino for $74. This is the spirited midsize car, restyled with a new front end, opera windows, and luxurious new interiors. So get in, slam the door, and go. This is the solid midsize car that says excitement for $74.
Look close, you've got a solid car. The Ford Torino is a solid car. Riding down the road in style, smooth and quiet by the mile. Look close, you've got a solid car.
The solid midsize Ford Torino for $74. The closer you look, the better we look.
Miss Morrissey's information, the bottom fell out again. If old Edgar Rhine had never married, he couldn't have any direct heirs. This had come up before, so I brushed it off and kept looking for Helen Martin. There had to be a connection. There were just too many unexplained coincidences otherwise. After I left the union office, I went over to the Daily Tribune. I placed a classified ad under personals. It read, Edgar A. Rhine, reward. Anyone having known him, write to Mr. Dean Quinn, care of Clarence J. Walden and Associates, Universal City, California. I drove like crazy to get back to L.A., but I had to lay over in Santa Maria, thanks to a bad cheeseburger. When I finally cruised Walden, he had all the poop on the silver monster I'd seen at the post office. It was registered to Florentia Monti, Acacia Drive, Brentwood. I didn't waste any time getting there. A butler, sporting a bit of a belly and a broken nose, informed me that no Helen Martin was there, ever had been, or was ever expected to be. But after some diplomatic negotiation on my part, he agreed to escort me to see Miss Monty, who did indeed live there, and at that point in time was sunning herself out by the swimming pool. It was the same blonde, all right. She was stretched out on the diving board, wearing a sliver of a bikini, tanning herself, head cradled in her arms. I couldn't see her face. Without moving her head, she said,
What do you want?
Are you Helen Martin?
No.
You are Florentia Monti?
Zia, please.
You know Helen Martin?
Yes. I know her, but I don't like to feel responsible for her. I keep a post office box in the valley for my own personal use. With a house full of servants, one has very little privacy.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Every letter that comes, all my own special little secrets. Anyway, I gave Helen permission to use my post office box.
Don't you forward her mail?
Yes, certainly, whenever she writes to tell me where she is. I haven't heard from her in over a year.
Last time, where from?
Hong Kong, I think, or some such place. She travels, buys, imports clothes.
How long have you known Helen Martin?
Oh, years. 6, perhaps, or 7. I met her when she was studying in Paris. My family keeps a place there, although they live in Rome.
And you met again here in California?
Something like that. We've kept in touch.
Do you have Helen's last forwarding address?
Someplace around. I'll have to look for it. If I find it, I'll let you know.
Yeah, do that. I'll leave my card. I'll write down another number where I can be reached.
Oh, you are an insurance man? I didn't know that.
Yeah. Claims paid promptly, it says right there. I hope I'll be hearing from you, Miss Monty.
Zia.
See ya, Zia. After meeting with Florentia Monti, I paid a visit to the bank where Walden did his business. I asked Tilford Jones, one of the vice presidents, to give me a Dun & Bradstreet report on Florentia Monti. He told me that she was AAA1, top credit rating, which came as no surprise after I'd peeped her palace. Jones also gave me the lowdown on her personal background when I asked for it. Zia Monti was a legal representative with power of attorney for Roma Fiducia, an Italian holding company under a Swiss charter. Jones explained that the company was primarily an investment house and did very little trading in stocks and bonds, all of which meant nothing to me. Zia was working here under the supervision of her home office, and she was very likely a blood relative of one of the company's high executives. A lot of the old European firms still did business in the old-fashioned way, keeping it in the family. I thanked Jones for the information, and while I still had use of Beth's car, drove back to Universal City to see if Walden had anything further for me.
So what's the skinny on the Mountie woman?
Well, she's above board, boss, but she's not Helen Martin.
Didn't expect she would be.
Don't worry, Mr. Walden. Something has to break soon. I think Helen Martin is in China.
China? Why don't you take a break, Quinn? Go home. Go back to law school.
Oh, Rome wasn't built in a day, you know.
What's that got to do with Helen Martin?
Well, I don't know. She studied there.
Quinn, you're a nice kid. I like you. Let's leave it at that. Oh, by the way, a letter came for you. And in the future, you won't use this address.
It's from San Francisco. Dear Sir, read your ad in the San Francisco Tribune regarding Edgar Rhine. Used to know a man by that name once. Don't know if he's the same one you mean. Note your address is Los Angeles. My ship will make San Pedro on the 19th and sail early the morning of the 20th. You can look me up while I am there. Yours truly, Albert Kress, Second Officer, S.S. McAllister. The 19th. Well, that's today. Finally, your dumbness will kill you if you're not careful, because you'll go charging off one last time into someone with a cannon in his fist who's waiting just for you. Had I but known.
Tomorrow at this time, rest your eyes and listen here to this week's continuing study in suspense, the Heir Hunters. I'm Rod Serling, and this is the Zero Hour.
Today's episode brought to you in part by Holiday Inns, Quaker State Motor Oil, and Ford Motor Company. This is the Zero Hour on Mutual Radio.
You have been listening to The Zero Hour, a presentation of the Mutual Broadcasting System in association with Hollywood Radio Theater. Heard every weekday at this time. Rod Serling is your host. Zero Hour is produced and directed by Elliott Lewis. The Hollywood Radio Theater theme was played by Ferranti and Teicher and is now available on United Artists Records and Tapes. Hugh Douglas speaking. Tune in tomorrow, and once again,
rest your eyes and listen here
to The Zero Hour.
This is the Mutual Radio Network.
I'm Rod Serling. You're listening to the Zero Hour. Rest your eyes. Exercise your imagination. This week, Bill S. Ballinger's sound portrait of an unlikely hero. The Heir Hunters. Starring Ken Berry, Joanne Worley, and Edgar Bergen. In Elliott Lewis's production of The Zero Hour.
The Mutual Broadcasting System presents The Zero Hour. Sponsored in part by
Metropolitan Life Insurance Company, the makers of Delco batteries and Bear aspirin. This is the Zero Hour on Mutual Radio.
Dean Quinn has been trying to locate Helen Martin, missing heiress to a hidden fortune. He's been fishing for clues, but to this point has caught only a good case of pneumonia. He meets Virginia Clay, Helen Martin's aunt, who sends him back to California into a post office box. Dean Quinn back in California, back to his girl, Beth Temple, and into the fire, brought upon by the arrival of the irrepressible Stella Pasek from Chicago. But it's the business of air hunting that Dean Quinn has chosen, so he follows the trail north to San Francisco, then back to Los Angeles, to the mansion of the young and beautiful, mysterious Florenzia Monti, but still not a trace of Helen Martin. He has no idea where or even who she is, nor for that matter does he know exactly how he got to where he is, in a swimming pool, half-drowned and bleeding, and not alone. His company is dead, murdered. Dean Quinn wants to know, in a word, why. The Heir Hunters resumes after this message.
Hi, this is Buddy Merrill from the Lawrence Welk Band, and I'd just like to say, if you're a veteran just returning to civilian life, the Veterans Administration urges you to take advantage of your rights under the GI Bill. If you need additional education, you may have as much as 36 months of schooling coming to you. If you haven't finished high school, you may do so and still have your full GI school time coming to you for college or other education. You get paid every month while you work toward your diploma. So, why not get on with that GI schooling? Don't let the opportunities that could be yours pass you by because you aren't prepared. Don't let the rights you earn while in uniform go unused. This is Buddy Merrill saying, get full information from VA. Get started in school under the GI Bill and follow the road to success that millions of veterans have taken.
I pulled myself out of the pool and staggered into the living room. It was a mess. A disaster area. It looked worse than my head felt. Whoever had bopped me and killed her. But come on, boyo. Remember it all or they'll get you for sure. Water. The harbor. Water. What am I thinking of? The McAllister. I went to the pier to talk to Albert Kress about Edgar Rhine.
Sure, I knew Edgar Rhine. Often wondered what happened to him. Last saw him maybe 15 years ago. He was second engineer aboard the Sulu Seas, a tanker older than Noah's Ark. I was on her, too, as an A.B. You have more coffee?
No, thanks, Mr. Kress.
Well, we picked up a cargo of crude in the Persian Gulf, sailed up to the Red Sea to the Med, and played over in Istanbul a couple of days, and sailed back to the States. We got held up at customs when we berthed in Jersey. Ship was swarming with treasury men. They'd been tipped off that we'd picked up some junk in Turkey. Point I'm making, Ryan left a ship there in Jersey. Well, what was odd was he'd signed on from the West Coast.
You mean he deserted?
No, he just drew his pay and walked off. Didn't say goodbye or go to hell.
I drove back to face Walden again. I thought maybe what Kress had told me might perk him up a little.
So what?
Well, I don't think old Ryan was in on the smuggling from the start, but he knew that engine room and everything in it. He found where the stuff was hidden, quit the ship, and walked off with a couple of tobacco tins of pure morphine.
I won't condone that. $100,000 from dope, salted away in little bank accounts under different names. The government will attach those accounts when they're revealed in probate.
No, they won't. They'd only be guessing. There's absolutely no proof. Besides, there's the statute of limitations.
I'm not going to argue with you, Quinn. You got me into this, but I'm getting out now.
You can't. We've got a contract for a year.
Oh, have we? There's your contract. Want to sue me?
So I was canned. On my way out of Walden's office, I asked Nora, his secretary, to refer any telephone calls for me to El Cairo Court. Flat broke again and really down. I went back to Bet's.
Hello, honey. Stella and I have been out shopping. Well, how'd it go at the office today?
Oh, great, if you dig getting fired.
Oh, Dean. Well, what are you going to do?
I don't know. I guess I could go back to passing out handbills.
Hey, maybe I could fix you up with a job. One of the boys at the club quit last night.
A job doing what?
Parking cars.
How much? You know, I've been making pretty good bread.
You'll do it.
So I took it. That night, Beth drove Stella and me to work at the Yodel-A-Go-Go. It had no parking lot of its own. Steep hills above and steep hills below. I could tell right off it was going to be tough sledding. Stella introduced me to a young dude in a red T-shirt and tight white stretch pants.
Kilroy, this here's my very own first cousin, Dean.
Stella, I don't think that's...
He needs a job real bad, and right away I thought of you, Kilroy.
You thought about me?
Yeah, he's an awful good driver, and I think you were just so sweet. You know what I mean?
How could Kilroy say no? He couldn't say anything at all with his eyes popping out, watching Stella slink into the club. Then the suckers began arriving, and we, the real suckers, started parking cars. We stashed them all up and down the side streets on both sides of Sunset, anywhere within 5 blocks. Then we had to whip back to the club on a dead run for the next one. By the time the club closed, I was a basket case. This wasn't a job for someone with chronic pneumonia. Back at El Cairo, I found Beth asleep on the couch. She left me a note explaining why. Dear Chaser, a girl named Nora called to leave a message for you that another girl named Zia wants you to call her in the morning. I think you should know that this is not an answering service, and you might think about looking for new pastures to graze in. Let sleeping giants lie. Beth. I met Zia for lunch at the Barrier Reef, a little restaurant on the beach near Malibu. Seems she was interested in buying a paid-up insurance annuity.
Could you sell me one?
Sure, I guess so. How large an annuity?
Oh, 250,000.
250,000?
I want one that will pay me, say, $10,000 a year for the rest of my life.
Yes. Sure, of course. Well, I'll work out the details.
Sunshine, things are growing, things are going well with you and me. Future planned together, a wishful life together, and things look bright as they can be. We're helping 40 million people, 40 million people, who know the future is life. And Metropolitan Life, we help to plan the future, because the future is life.
Metropolitan Life knows how important the future is to you and your family. We've been preparing hard for the future so that your Metropolitan representative is qualified to help you prepare for it better. Because the better prepared you are, the better your future will be.
At Metropolitan Life, we help to plan the future, because the future is
I didn't tell Zia I wasn't working for Walden any longer because, knowing Walden, I knew he wouldn't turn down the kind of business I had in my pocket. My commission would be somewhere around $7,500, exclusive of what Walden made for overriding it. I swaggered into his office and we drew up another contract. 3 days later, I called Zia at home.
I must talk to you about the project again.
What, you haven't changed your mind?
I don't want to discuss it over the phone. If you could meet me this afternoon, why not drive with me to Palm Springs? We can talk on the way.
Boy, oh, this is the way to do business. I've never been out this way before.
About that annuity, Dean, I want it in the name of Constance Niles.
I thought it was for you.
Of course it's for me. I simply want it in another name. Is it so wicked to want to save taxes?
No, but I doubt the insurance company will issue to a false name. And Internal Revenue has laws, too.
All right. But I think I can convince you. If not, perhaps I'll have to cancel the policy.
Just checking out the way Zia was built, I didn't need much coaxing. The hideaway was several miles outside of Palm Springs. A sprawling desert adobe, the same color as the sand surrounding it. The place was closed up. No servants were there or anybody. The small cottage, as she called it, was actually a vast ranch house, complete with air conditioning. Zia opened a bottle of champagne and another of brandy and mixed French 75s. We sat on the patio beside the swimming pool, watching the mysterious blue desert night come down. The moon was a huge incandescent globe that pulverized the heavens with powdered light. The whole scene was totally surreal. I couldn't believe what was happening. Boy, oh, she was really some tomato. By the time we left Palm Springs for Los Angeles the next day, Zia had me convinced. Convinced that if I didn't change the name on the annuity to Constance Niles, I'd lose the sale and never see her again. And I didn't intend to do either. Hi, I'm back.
And just in time. Kilroy says you're fired if you don't show up tonight. And after all the humiliation I had to go through to get you the job.
I know, dear.
Hey, since when have you ladies decided to run my life for me? From now on, I am running my own. I'll pack my stuff and get out.
Where are you going? The Century Plaza? And how much money you got?
He doesn't have $10.
And he'll spend that out chasing girls. It's a good thing he's got you, Beth, to keep an eye on him.
Dean, why don't you move back into number 9? Stella can move in with me.
Oh, please. Knock it off. So I moved into number 9, and Stella started camping with Beth. Until my insurance commission came through, I still needed the tips from the parking lot. There was a lousy band playing that night, and business was slow, so I didn't make much money, but at least I kept most of my sweat inside my body. Stella got a ride from that same guy as last time, but in a different car. A shiny, new domestic model, about a half a block long, and Kilroy was plenty teed off.
Hey, Dee, looky here. I guess I fixed that creep. Took it right out of his glove compartment.
Kilroy, that's a gun.
Yeah, real pretty, ain't it? Yaffee Cush don't go in for those cheap stuff.
Yaffee Cush?
Yeah, the jerk driving Stella home big time, big shot, syndicate. This has got to be worth at least $50.
Are you out of your mind? You stole a gun from him? He'll come back looking for it.
Nah, he's got plenty more. Hey, Dean, be on time tomorrow now, will you?
Hey, Kilroy, look at that broad.
Where?
Over there, across the street.
I don't see no broad.
Oh, you missed her. She's gone now. Well, see you tomorrow.
Yeah.
I couldn't let Kilroy keep that gun. He was an all right guy, and I didn't want to see him getting snuffed for something so dumb. So while he was looking across the street, I lifted the gun from his saddlebag. After he was gone, I put it in a paper bag, and I hid it in the bushes by the club. Let's see, that was Friday night. I called in sick on Saturday, and Sunday the club's closed. I was in Bungalow 9 about 10:30 Sunday night, washing out my drip-dry shirt when... Yeah?
Hi, it's Ford.
Stella? Out. Out!
Gee, it's nice to be alone at last. Beth's gone to a movie.
Stella, go back to Beth's place. You know what she'd think if she found you here.
Oh, Pooh, I wouldn't want to hurt Beth. We're dear friends. But you did break up with her, didn't you?
Do you have anything cooking on the stove?
No. Why?
Well, in that case, Beth's bungalow is on fire.
Maybe all you know about batteries is that they're necessary to start your car. And you want one that will start and start and start your car. That's just what the Delco Energizer was designed to do. It supplies a super burst of power instantaneously to start a car in almost any weather. Get a Delco battery for your car. Look for the red, white, and blue Delco sign.
Well, the more you know, the more you want Delco. The more you know, the more you want Delco.
There was a time when people thought there really was a fountain of youth, and that it was possible to turn iron into gold, the thing some people used to believe. Even today, there are people who still think all aspirin is alike. But the fact is, all aspirin is not alike. Bayer tested its aspirin against every leading brand. The test showed for quality, Bayer is superior. Remember, as with all medicines, read and follow label directions carefully. When you get a headache, get Bayer, the better quality aspirin.
I guess it was the most excitement they'd had in the neighborhood for some time. All those sirens and flashing red lights brought people together who hadn't seen each other in years. Actually, the fire wasn't that bad. The cops seemed to think the blaze was a cover-up for something else, maybe robbery. They noted that the furniture was smashed and the drawers emptied out. As far as Stella and I could see, nothing was missing, so they wrote it up as a stock case of teenage vandalism. After they'd gone, does Yaffee Kush know you live here?
Of course not.
Then how have you been getting home? On a magic carpet?
For your information, Mr. Cush is a gentleman, which is more than I can say for you. He calls me a cab whenever I want to come home.
It never occurred to you he might own the cab company?
Mr. Cush is in the machine business, Mr. Smarty.
Sure he is. Slot machines, vending machines, political machines.
Oh, I hate you.
Oh, hate me later. Help me clean up this mess before Beth gets home. I didn't come right out and say to Stella that I thought Yaffee Kush had been there looking for his missing gun and tried to burn the place down when he couldn't find it. The next day, I went to see Walden about any late developments in the Florenzia Monte, Constance Niles deal.
Ah, Quinn, yeah, come in.
Back to the old drawing board, I see.
I just can't seem to give it up or beat the damn thing.
You ever consider cheating?
There's a letter for you. It's from Chicago.
It's a photostat of Etta Rhines and Charlie Martin's marriage license.
Still plugging away, eh, Quinn?
Another bummer. Etta Rhines' father was Henry Rhine. So and I don't even know if I can find out, if Henry Rhine and Edgar Rhine were brothers, that would make Helen Martin, wherever she is, Edgar's grandniece, not his granddaughter.
So what? We're off the Rhine case anyway.
Yeah. Well, there's still my insurance commission.
Hello?
Zia, it's Mia. Clean Dean. It's all set.
Wonderful. I'll be out by Palm Springs tomorrow. What do you say we meet at the Hideaway? 8 o'clock? We'll have a private little party in honor of the event.
Boy, that sounds terrific. I'll bring the papers.
I'll bring the money. $250,000 in cash.
Cash? What's wrong with a cashier's check?
It'll be safe. I'll keep it under lock and key in my cosmetics box in the trunk of the car. Besides, a cashier's check would involve a bank, and I don't see where it's any of their business. Do you?
Oh, well, no, I guess you're right. See you at 8.
Bye now.
The next morning, I rented a car and drove all over town to make sure everything was in perfect running condition. At 6 o'clock, I couldn't sit any longer. I made sure I had the papers, and... Oh, no. No, why now? Why me?
Want me to start?
No.
Well, what are you going to do?
I don't know. I can't kill myself without fumes.
You can use my car. I won't need it tonight.
Oh, girl, you'd do that for me? I was almost to the freeway when I thought of something. Bringing all that cash back with me could be dangerous. So I turned up Wilcox and headed towards Sunset in the Strip. Kilroy wasn't there yet, so nobody recognized me when I went looking in the bushes. I found the paper bag with Yaffee's gun, then headed out for Palm Springs. A bit late, but on my way. I thought I could make up some lost time out on the open road, but I made a wrong turn, and I was halfway to Indio before a gas station attendant straightened me out. It was almost 9:30 when I made the turn onto the long dirt road. I threaded my set of wheels into the 5-car garage attached to the house. The garage was empty except for the stodgy, square, conservative coupe she had driven down in. I parked beside it and got out. As I walked past the car, I remembered the cosmetics case locked in the trunk. Pretty baby. $250,000. I'll take real good care of you. Hello? Zia, it's Mia! I walked from the garage around the house to the main entrance. The wind was up. I dodged a tumbleweed that blew across the lawn. The desert cools off fast at night. I hoped it hadn't cooled her off towards me. The lights were on in the living room, so she was here like she'd promised. I punched the doorbell. I stood there quite a while, but no one answered. I was getting impatient, both for Zia and my commission. 33% of nothing is nothing. I knocked on the door, just one little rap, and it swung open. Anyone here? At ease, dry your tears. Dean's here. Hello, anyone home? The living room was empty. Also the dining room, the library, sunrooms, kitchen, and the game room. The whole joint was deserted. I opened the sliding glass door and stepped outside to the patio and pool. The outdoor lights were off, and it was plenty dark. Almost concealed in the darkness by the side of the pool nearest to me, something was bobbing in the water. I stepped to the edge of the pool to take a better look. Oh, boy, oh. Zia stared up at me from the water. Her eyes and her mouth were wide open, and her hair was matted to the side of her head. Except for the features of her face and the curled fingers of one outstretched hand, her body was suspended a few inches beneath the surface. I didn't have a chance to see any more because, without warning, my arms were pinned behind me and some ape had his hands around my throat. There were two of them, but I couldn't see who they were. Then I got zapped upside my head. Ow! Like I told you, if you're not careful, you can get killed.
You are listening to Mutual's presentation of The Zero Hour.
Tomorrow at this time, rest your eyes and listen here to this week's continuing study in suspense, The Heir Hunters. I'm Rod Serling, and this is The Zero Hour.
Today's episode brought to you in part by Metropolitan Life Insurance, Delco Batteries, and Bear Aspirin. This is The Zero Hour on Mutual Radio.
You have been listening to The Zero Hour, a presentation of the Mutual Broadcasting System in association with Hollywood Radio Theater. Heard every weekday at this time. Rod Serling is your host. Zero Hour is produced and directed by Elliott Lewis. The Hollywood Radio Theater theme was played by Ferranti and Teicher and is now available on United Artists Records and Tapes. Hugh Douglas speaking. Tune in tomorrow. And once again,
rest your eyes and listen here
to The Zero Hour.
This is the Mutual Radio Network.
I'm Rod Serling. You're listening to The Zero Hour. Rest your eyes. Exercise your imagination. This week, Bill S. Ballinger's sound portrait of an unlikely hero. The Heir Hunters. Starring Ken Berry. Joanne Worley. And Edgar Bergen. In Elliot Lewis's production of The 0 Hour.
The Mutual Broadcasting System presents The 0 Hour. Sponsored in part by
State Farm Insurance, Holiday Inns, and the makers of V8 Juice. This is The 0 Hour on Mutual Radio.
Dean Quinn first left New York for California for his health. He hadn't any. But once out west, he found other reasons to stay. One, Beth Temple. Girl owed to Dean. Two, his discovery of a hidden fortune salted away, waiting to be claimed. And three, the search to find Helen Martin, the rightful heir to the money. If it were only as simple as 1, 2, 3 for Dean Quinn. He's found the source of the money to have been smuggled drugs. He alone knows the location of a gun stolen from Yafi Kush, a well-known underworld figure. And he made a deal to sell an insurance policy to a wealthy, beautiful foreign woman named Lorenzia Monte. They would have met at her desert retreat in Palm Springs. What Dean Quinn didn't plan on was the fact that when he got there, she'd be dead. Nor did he expect someone would knock him unconscious and throw him in the swimming pool to drown. Whatever happened to Helen Martin? What's going to happen to Dean Quinn? The conclusion of the Heir Hunters follows after this word.
There was a time when the rivers, the earth, and the sky of America were pure. A time when the only American was the Indian. Today, America is suffering from pollution, but the problem isn't hopeless. We can protect the natural beauty of America if you get involved. Something as simple as using the fuel rated most efficient for the engine of your car, or planting trees to help purify the air and prevent soil erosion, or starting a compost heap instead of burning leaves or trash. People start pollution. People can stop it. This message has been brought to you on behalf of Keep America Beautiful and this station.
Zia, honey, speak to me. Oh, what am I doing? She's dead. I gotta get out of here. Somebody tried to kill me. Why me? Why try to murder good old Dean Quinn? Oh, boy, if the cops find me here with a place looking like this and Zia deep sixed in the pool and look like I did it, they'd say I killed her. Why, of course, that's the frame. I'm supposed to have robbed her, killed her, and then fallen in and drowned. Why me? Wait a minute. Am I leaving anything behind? What did I bring with me? Papers, insurance. Yeah, I got them. A little wet, but boy, I'll catch pneumonia for sure. There must be a rag or something in the car I can dry my hair with. Oh, no. Yafi Kush's gun. I gotta get rid of it. There. That takes care of that. I gotta get out of here. On the highway, heading back to L.A., I was swerving from side to side. I could barely see the road. But somehow I made it back to the El Cairo. I must have, because I came to, stretched out on the overstuffed sofa, covered with warm blankets and supporting an ice bag on my aching skull. Beth was watching me anxiously. She tried to smile, but wasn't very successful.
Dean?
Oh, Gerlo, what time is it?
Not quite 3. In the morning.
How did I get here? Where's your car?
Lie back. Now, I thought you'd had an accident. The car's fine.
I've got to hide it.
Hide it? What for? What happened? Did you run someone over with the car?
Deanie, what happened to your head? You look awful.
Thanks. I thought I'd change my hairstyle. Widened apart. Stella, did you see Yafi Kush at the club tonight? Was he around?
No. Did he beat you up?
I don't know. I'm not sure.
Dean, tell me what happened with the car.
I'll tell you after I move it.
No, you stay put. You're in no condition to drive.
I'll move it. Where do you want it?
Well, see if there's a space in the bushes.
Well, that's dumb.
Go on, move it.
Do as he says, Stella, dear.
Well, all right.
Did the killers take the money?
I don't know. I really don't. I was too scared to even think about it. I didn't even look in her car.
Are you going to the police?
I guess. Tell them what I know. Oh, but first I ought to see Walden. They might go looking for him.
Where'll you find him at this time of night?
Yeah. Guess I'll wait till morning. You got any aspirin? Walden was pretty upset when I told him. Upset, angry, evasive, and frightened.
I wash my hands of the whole thing, understand? But, Dean, try to make it as easy on me in the office, will you?
I won't promise. It's my neck. Now, if the police think I'm broke, a bum, they'll give me a hard time. But if you back me up and say that I worked for you legitimately, well, I'll be careful what I say.
I'll do it. I'll do it.
Outside Walden's office was one of those little coin boxes that sell newspapers. The late morning edition carried the headline, "Foreign Beauty Slain in Pool." Not much about Zia. The medical examiner hadn't determined as yet if she died by strangulation or drowning, but he set the time of death at approximately 8 p.m. There were signs of a fight, and an unidentified gun had been found outside the house. Nothing stolen from the house, and nothing about finding $250,000 in the car. I decided to go back to Beth's and have a drink.
Hold it. He just walked in. Dean, you're wanted on the phone.
Oh, great timing. Hello, this is Quinn. Who is this?
Ain't important to know, but what I got to say is, you listening?
Well, I'm listening.
You've been lucky, but don't push it too far.
Oh, who, me? I just blew into town.
Oh, I know. I've been reading the papers. I see where maybe you ain't talked to anyone yet, which is a very smart thing to do, not to talk to anybody about your swimming partner.
But the cops will be looking for me. My fingerprints are all over the place.
I don't want to have to do nothing drastic if I can help it. Too much of a coincidence, you know?
Yes, I know.
So here's what you do. You tell the cops you arrived at the house at 4 in the afternoon. You were there just long enough to get her to sign a floater insurance policy. They already found an airplane ticket in her purse for Hawaii and points west good for next week. She needed a policy to protect her stuff on the trip. A guy named Herman Spender drove you down.
I don't know any Herman Spender.
You do now. Besides, another guy driving an Ace laundry truck saw you. You're out of the jam, Quinn. There's no sweat.
Maybe I ought to just leave town. I don't like it here much anyway.
Oh, you're stupid. You're stupid, Quinn. If the cops don't find you, I do. And you wouldn't want anything to happen to that big, gorgeous redhead, would you?
You wouldn't.
We're number one. We're the largest company, and you don't get to be the largest company unless you're doing a little extra for people.
Agent Bill Rich of Logan, Utah, explains why State Farm Mutual is the world's largest car insurer.
this is what the consumer feels, and you know that if a consumer feels State Farm is number one, it's got to be on two things, service and price. And if you're not competitive in both of these areas and do the job, the customer is not going to rate them where they have. We're number one. We only got there because we were most competitive, or as competitive as anyone, and because we're there to serve.
Service and price. That's what car insurance value is all about. And there are two good reasons to see your nearby State Farm agent now.
Like a good neighbor, State Farm is
I had a strong hunch the phone call was from Yaffee Cush. He could have gotten Beth's number when he came by and set the fire. Some Boy Scout he'd make. Well, if it was Cush, he could rip off Beth and me whenever he wanted. We were sitting ducks. Unless there was some way I could convince him that he needed us around. After some of her usual hemming and hawing, Stella gave me Cush's home address, an apartment on Wilshire. A houseboy let me into the Wilshire apartment. A very plush pad indeed. Yaffee Cush and two men were playing gin.
Well, look who's here. Mark Spitz.
Mr. Cush, sir, did you phone me this morning?
Me? Phone you?
I think you should know that I've written out a complete report. Everything I know about Zia Monte's murder. A person you don't know will turn it over to the sheriff if anything happens to me or Beth Temple.
Why, you telling me? It's none of my business. Hey, I got a hunch, though. You keep your nose clean, nothing's going to happen to you or your girlfriend. Say, do you play bridge?
Sometimes. I'm not very good.
Hey, you guys, we got a fourth for bridge. Quinn, meet Herman Spender. He's the one with the red face. The other one is Frankie Amador. He owns Ace Laundry Company. Sit down.
I'd really like to stay, but I shouldn't be here after 8 o'clock. Someone who knows where I am might start wondering.
Are you bluffing? Yeah, maybe not. All right, Quinn. Beat it. I don't want to see your mug in here again.
Dean, the news is on TV.
Okay, coming.
This is Ken Jones with the Late Night News. With us is Riverside County Sheriff Richard Durham, who will give us the latest developments concerning the murder of Florenzio Monte in Palm Springs. Sheriff, has the gun found at the scene of the murder been identified yet?
Not yet, Ken. But we've had several other important news breaks. We located a safety deposit box in Palm Springs under Miss Monte's name and got a court order to open it. Inside it, we found 3 United States passports in the names of Ramona Randa, Constance Niles, and Helen Martin.
Helen Martin? I knew it.
But none for Florenzio Monte?
No. We have determined that 2 of them were forgeries. The Helen Martin passport is authentic.
Is it your theory, Sheriff, that Florenzio was using these other names as an alias?
You better believe she was.
Well, we can't prove it yet. However, we also found 2 paid-up annuities, each for $250,000. One is made out to Helen Martin, the other to Ramona Randa.
And none for Constance Niles?
I've got that one, and you're not getting it.
No.
Please, Dean, I can't hear.
We haven't found an annuity for Constance Niles yet. But we want to know more about Miss Monte. She was in this country on an Italian passport, supposedly on business. We intend to find out more about both her personal and business affairs.
Sheriff, you mentioned another development just before we went on.
Yes. Miss Monte also maintained a house in Los Angeles. All the phones in the house were bugged.
That does it.
Does what?
Zia Monte was Helen Martin. Helen's was the only authentic passport in the bunch. If Zia had been able to buy that annuity for Constance Niles from me, she'd have had an income of about $30,000 a year for life, including the annuities made out to Helen Martin and Ramona Randa. Where did Zia, or Helen, get the bread to live like she did and still stash away $750,000 to buy the annuities?
Dean, do you think there might be a bug on my phone?
No, don't be silly. Who'd bug your phone?
That man who called and threatened you.
The next afternoon, the phone company sent a man out to check Beth's phone. No taps, of course. It was clean. I watched the repairman dial the automatic ringback number to show the line was working again. Then, that night, I went to work, but Kilroy didn't show up at the club. The manager said Kilroy had quit that day and wasn't coming back. I started jockeying the cars by myself, but as the evening wore on and Stella didn't appear, I began to worry. Finally, I parked the car by a fire plug, jumped in a taxi, and went back to El Cairo. I looked around, trying to spot Yaffe's car on the street. I didn't see it. Beth's bungalow was dark, except for one lamp in the living room. I made like a scout and peeped through the window. Beth and Stella were seated in front of the television set. I heaved a sigh of relief and went in. I knocked off early. Well, say something.
I'll say it for them, Quinn. Welcome home.
Together with Holiday Inn. Good food, good friends, together.
Hey, what you got there? It looks like tomato juice. It's V8. What you got there? It's V8. Looks like tomato juice. It's V8. Try it. Wow, it sure doesn't taste like tomato juice. Mm-hmm. It tastes like V8. A great natural blend of 8 garden vegetables. V8 cocktail vegetable juice. V8.
I knew it wouldn't be long before Yaffe and one of his gorillas came by. Spender, the guy with the red face, had to be the ugliest guy of all time, but I wasn't about to inform him of that fact. Yaffe Kush was no beauty himself, but at least you wouldn't expect to see him swinging through trees on a vine.
Good to see you, Quinn.
It's good to see you, too, Mr. Kush. Well, it looks like you've got your 4 for bridge. I guess I'll be moving along.
Spender.
Oh, wow.
Darling, you're hurt. Let me help you up.
That's all right. I needed some dental work anyway.
Oh, Quinn, that wasn't smart to plant my rod for the fuzz to find. It was clean, never used on the job. I even had a permit for it.
Gun?
The one I keep in the glove compartment of my car. You and that other grease jockey were the only ones who could get to it. I seen him this afternoon. He sang a whole opera. Why did you try to frame me for that Monty broad?
Who, me?
It was a mistake, Queen, a big mistake. Spender? You and that Monty floozy, both a couple of double-crossing thieves. You had it coming. Right, Spender?
Stop that! Let me go!
Oh, relax, lady. Why are you looking at your watch, Quinn? You ain't going no place ever again.
Well, in that case, I better call Sheriff Durham and tell him not to bother to call me at midnight like I told him to.
Hey, put that phone down. Spender!
Stop it this instant!
Lady, you gotta learn to relax. Hang up the phone, Spender. Quinn. Oh, Quinn, I'm afraid that was your last mistake.
Sheriff, Yaffe Kush is here. Got a gun.
Oh, forget it, Spender. It's sour. The sheriff knows we're here. Let's get out of here.
Well, it's not funny.
Durham never called. I dialed a 4-number code. When I hung up, the phone automatically rings back. See? I saw the repairman do it this morning. As soon as I was in condition to get up off the floor, which was early morning, I lost no time getting down to Palm Springs to see Sheriff Durham. I told him all I knew, really leveled.
Well, we just got confirmation on your alibi from the gas station attendant in Indio.
And don't forget, I drove out to the club to get Cush's gun, which took me about another half hour. It was nearly 9:30 when I got to Zia's place.
What you've told me, Quinn, should clear you, and it fits in with what we've already pieced together. Helen Martin, a.k.a. Zia Monte. She was a courier for the mob.
Really? A sweet little girl like that?
Right. She met those syndicate characters in Europe when she was going to school there. They set her up as a front to invest black money. Illegal funds. Got her papers in Rome as Florenzia Monte to represent their investment coming over here. All supposedly legit. So the government couldn't trace the money, where it came from.
They bugged her phones because they didn't trust her?
They don't trust anyone. Florenzia Monte got the idea to do some skimming, disappear with her own annuities. When the big bosses found out, Yafe Kush got his orders to stop her. And he did. But don't worry about him. That's been taken care of.
Boy, that's the best news I've heard in a long time. On my way back from Palm Springs, I stopped in at Walden's office to let him know everything worked out, and he was off the hook. So you see, Mr. Walden, Florenzia Monte was Helen Martin. She blew the whole thing because she was the missing heiress all along. She just got hung up in her own greed. Mr. Walden, are you listening?
Jack of diamonds, 10 of clubs, jack of clubs. Do you see this, Quinn? Do you see? I've done it.
Well, congratulations.
I win. And I owe it all to you. Look what deck I used. Get a load of that Queen of Spades.
Is this letter for me?
Oh, yes, I forgot about that. It's been sitting here for a few days.
Well, keep plugging away, Mr. Walden. If I had the time, I'd stay and teach you how to play cribbage. Goodbye. When I got back to El Cairo Court, the girls were waiting for me. Beth nearly fractured my bruised ribs hugging me. And then I told them what Sheriff Durham had already figured out.
But what about Yafe Kush? Will he talk? Confess?
Well, Durham thinks so, because Yafe did find the $250,000 in the trunk of the car and held out. Didn't tell his bosses. That's why he didn't want me to talk. Let the news out. He figures he's got a better chance to survive with Sheriff Durham than he does with the mob.
He seemed like such a nice guy. And such a gorgeous car.
Well, I suppose you'll be going back to New York.
Yeah, me too. I'm tired of selling cigarettes. I'm going to be a social worker.
Oh, and wreck what's left of the Big Apple? Well, Stella, you can have it. I don't really want to be a lawyer anyway.
What will you do?
Oh, I don't know, girl. I thought maybe I'd go into apartment management.
Oh, Dean, how romantic.
We can scratch out a living some way. Beth, you're the only girl for me. Ow, you're hurting me.
What's this? This envelope in your pocket. It was sticking me.
This? Oh, I completely forgot about it. Yeah, it's postmarked Morro Bay. Stats of birth certificates. Beth, get that old photograph. Edgar Rhine and the two guys with him.
Oh, you mean the one with Ed, Hack, and Tony on the back?
Right.
It's right here.
But what did you say your mother's maiden name was?
Tully. Josephine Tully. Why?
Girl, you have just answered the $100,000 question. Do you know who this Tony is? The one with Edgar and Henry Rhine?
No, who?
He's Anthony Tully, your grandfather. Half-brother to Edgar Rhine. That makes you Edgar Rhine's half-grandniece. His only surviving heir. Oh, you're worth a fortune. And just when I was going to make you a poor but honest woman. Oh, girl,
Oh, boy,
Ow! Be careful.
Hey, anyone here know where I can borrow the money for bus fare to New York?
You are listening to Mutual's presentation of The Zero Hour.
That concludes this week's production of The Zero Hour. Bill S. Ballinger's The Heir Hunters. Next week, we'll begin another exciting dramatization of a tale of mystery and suspense. We'll tell our story in 5 days, at the same time Monday through Friday. So on Monday, rest your eyes and listen here. to the Zero Hour.
Today's episode brought to you in part by State Farm Insurance, Holiday Inns, and V8 Jews. This is the Zero Hour on Mutual Radio.
You have been listening to The Zero Hour, a presentation of the Mutual Broadcasting System in association with Hollywood Radio Theater. Heard every weekday at this time. Rod Serling is your host. Zero Hour is produced and directed by Elliott Lewis. The Hollywood Radio Theater theme was played by Ferranti and Teicher and is now available on United Artists Records and Tapes. Hugh Douglas speaking. Tune in Monday, and once again,
rest your eyes and listen here
to the Zero Hour.
This is the Mutual Radio Network.
Thank you for listening to and showing your support for my podcast. If you would like to receive notifications of when new episodes are posted, please subscribe to my channel. Subscriptions are 100% free, and they really help me get an idea of how I'm doing. Well, hope you enjoyed, and until next time, stay safe, wish you well, and as always, peace.